internet friends. Welcome back to the Pink Room for Flosstube episode 28. I'm Emily, the Shady Stitcher, and I appreciate you being here with me today. This is my second day of the overhead filming, and I got it up higher so I could have more space to show you guys, but then I had to get the camera off the desk. So the camera is now on the windowsill. The overhead camera is on a taller stool. It's a whole show. It's okay. I appreciate everybody who took time to tell me that they liked the overhead. You were telling me that you can see what I'm talking about. I can point to things easier. The setup is not normal for me yet because I'm trying to figure out the right spot to put things, and I would like to put them in the proper spots all the time. I would like for it to be consistent. We'll kind of see how it goes. So I'm still tweaking it a little bit. I'm also just in a brief panic that I didn't actually turn the overhead camera on. So hang on just one second. Let me verify. All right, it is in fact recording. I can't see it. I don't have a monitor for it or anything else. So whatever happens up there is just happening. Today, let's talk about today. Today, I'm gonna show you my whip, one of my whips. It's Christmas Village from Prairie Schooler. I also have two FFOs. One of them is one of the monthly minis from Primrose Cottage, and the other one is Hometown Holiday, the pet store. It's a whole thing, guys. And then we're gonna talk about the 250th, America's 250th, what I'm gonna be stitching for that. You guys helped me, and I appreciate you doing that so much. And then I have some Stitchy talk. I don't want to say it's after party because it is directly stitching related. So I have Stitchy talk, and then there will be an after party. And if you're new here, the after party is just, oh, here comes Gail. The after party is just me talking to you about life things. And that's it. If you could just hang on one second, I'm going to wave real big. Some days you sit down to Flosstube and the words just come right out and you think, gosh, I'm hilarious and I have told them everything I want to tell them and it went great. Today's not that day. I have told you about this pattern 17 times. Every time I've said something ridiculous, it makes no sense. So we're gonna try it again. This is Christmas Village from Prairie Schooler. I'm stitching it on 40 count Lunar. It's a project I'm stitching with my friend Maggie of Homemade on the Ridge. We started this on New Year's Eve. Instead of doing 12 by 12 where you start one new project every 12 hours, we decided to stitch on this one project for the entire 12 hours leading up to midnight, and I didn't make it. I didn't make great progress. When you saw it last, all I had were these 6 trees on the left finished. I had gotten some new glasses and I was really struggling with them, and there was nothing wrong with the pattern or the project. I didn't have a great go of it right out of the gate, so I wasn't itching to pick it back up. But we are using a color conversion that we found in the Prairie Schooler Facebook group. Somebody made a couple of choices that we just felt like were a really strong addition to the piece. They have some blue and red buildings where the original pattern calls for a lot of yellows and browns and oranges, some warmer tones. And we just really liked that. So that's the direction we were headed, and that's what we were, that is our plan. That particular color conversion, the lady who came up with it is using fancy floss for the trees. And I love the idea of putting tonal shifts in the forest. However, I didn't have the fancy floss that she was calling for. I think she called for monkey grass. So we found somebody else in the same group who had used multiple shades of DMC instead. So that's what I decided to do. Right now, I've got 7 shades of green. Sorry for Henry. He's so tired of hearing me say these same things over and over again. I've got 7 shades of green, and I probably over-engineered how I'm going to put the green into this piece, but it doesn't matter. It makes my heart happy. I didn't want to have a lot of clumps of color. So I was afraid if I just had a ring of 7 flosses that I would inadvertently pull for the same ones over and over again. And I would have clumps of a bright green or clumps of a dark green, and I didn't want that. I wanted an even scatter of these different greens across the piece. So some of them are more saturated, some of them are kind of grayer and desaturated, some of them are dark, some of them are light, some of them are a little bit yellowy, and I just wanted that mix to be pretty even across that forest. So I charted it. It's what I'll be using. I think it's what Maggie's going to be using, and I'm having an amazing time with it. It's just really repetitive, and I like the predictability of it. I don't have to pay a lot of attention to it. I just figure out what color I'm supposed to be using on that particular tree on that particular day, and I go for it. So it's been a blast. It's been a blast to work on, and I feel like I'm making really good progress. I'm pretty obsessed with it at this point, and my plan is I want to take these trees all the way across this width of my hoop. There's a building here, there, obviously there's more stuff down here too, right? So I just kind of want to fill in this space in my hoop before I move it again. But this is really, I think this is half the number of trees I have to go, and then they get a little thinner as we move over to the right of the piece. But like I said, I'm having a great time. It's what I want to keep coming back to. I'm leaving it on my Lowry stand, and essentially I'm using it to bait myself to do other projects. I have some other projects that I want to have finished that aren't quite as fun. I'm not getting as lost in them. So I sort of make this deal with myself. So when I was a kid, my parents were like, first you do your homework and then you play. And it was so ingrained in me that first you do the things you don't want to do, and then you can do the fun things, that I still do it even now in cross stitch. So I'm making myself, you can't really make yourself do your hobby that you love, right? I am making myself finish the pieces that are a little bit less fun for me right now, because I still want to have them finished and I still want to meet that goal. But this is what's living on the back burner that's like, hey, come play with me, right? So I'm having a ton of fun with it, and I'm loving watching the forest unfold. And I'm excited to show you guys more progress kind of as we go along. The first finished piece I have today is from a book by Primrose Cottage. It's called 12 Monthly Minis. This is October, so this is the 11th one I have stitched. I'm really happy with how they're coming along. If you've been here for any length of time, you know that I'm going to be turning them into tiny pillows to sit inside of an antique coffee grinder. And that's still the plan. So 11 down, 1 to go. But just wanted to show you guys, I'm stitching them on 40 count raw by Zweigart, and the called for floss is 38.53. I feel fine about 38.53. It's a little yellowy. So I chose 721 just because it's a little more saturated. It's a little punchier. And I just wanted to show the two of them to you, because if I said I use 721 when they use for something else, you wouldn't really have a sake of comparison. So I just wanted to show them to you side by side. On raw, for me, I just liked 721 a little bit better. Just an easy swap, but I loved that it was 2 colors. It came together really super quickly. I think it's a really fun piece. So I'm eager to get November finished. And then once November is finished, I'm going to actually start the pillow making. So I'm trying to wait until all of the patterns themselves are done. That way I can make all of the little pillowcases at the same time. I think there will be a little bit more consistency in those if I do that. So that's what's on the horizon. I'm not sure if I'm going to work on November between now and the next time I see you, but wanted to go ahead and show you guys October and how it turned out. I was in the middle of telling you about my next disaster of a project, and a kid drove by in his loud car revving his engine, and I was like, I can't hear myself think. I don't think they can hear me. So let's start again. One of my goals for 2026 is to stitch 12 of the patterns in the Hometown Holiday series. There are 25 patterns in total. I'm going to do the first 12 this year, and originally I was planning on doing 1 pattern per month. I don't hate that plan, but if I can get them done sooner, better. Maybe I would add extras or not. I'm finding using the same colors all of the time it's a little bit monotonous, even though the patterns change. So I'm trying to switch back and forth between Hometown Holiday and something else to um, just to kind of keep things fresh and interesting. But it is very important to me that I get 12 of these done this year. So it didn't go good. Didn't go good, guys. My first time, the first thing I ever stitched was this pattern, the pet store. And I've showed it to you guys before. This is it. It's not going to focus well. Sorry. And I stitched it on 14 count Aida. I used all DMC. I didn't even know what fancy floss was. No issues, complaints, anything. Did it, loved it, 10 out of 10, highly recommend. So as I was doing this new project for the 12 ornaments, the pet store rolls around. And I'm so excited because I can't wait to see what it looks like when I do it with fancy floss and when I do it on 40 count. So that's what we get here. This is what comes next. And I start working on it and I'm making great progress. I have a lot of work done. And it was over the Thanksgiving break, Christmas break. I had my hoop in my hand and didn't notice or think about anything. And when I turned my hoop over, I noticed that there was a little spot of something on the back. And I was like, huh, what's that? And when I flipped the hoop back over to the front, my finger was bleeding and I didn't know it. And there was blood all over the front of my piece. And I was like, oh no. Now, I've heard repeatedly that if you bleed on your work, you need to use your own spit. Now, like, don't hawk a loogie on it, you know, like get a Q-tip, put it in your mouth, swish it around, and the enzymes of your personal spit breaks down your personal blood. Don't call your friend and ask your friend to spit on your work. That's not how it goes, apparently. So when I say I spit on it, I don't mean I like spit on it. I got the Q-tip out and did it like a responsible human being. I tried the spit didn't work. I asked the internet, ChatGPT, what do I do to fix it? And they said, flush it from the back. Now, I didn't really know what flush it from the back means. So I tried because the blood was kind of up here in this area, all right? And I thought maybe it won't be that bad. And the water, I mean, it's fabric, right? And the water like absorbs it. So I could just see the water, even though I was out here and I had water out here, it's just absorbing. And now the roof, which is overdyed, the roof is moist and I blotted it and I thought maybe it won't be that bad. And I woke up the next morning and to me, it was that bad. So there's probably 2.5 feet between my camera and the piece on the table. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but there is a halo of brown all along this edge of the roof and all across the top. And then additionally, it got down into some of these little pink bloopy deals, and there's some bleeding here as well. And I tried to tell myself, nobody's gonna see it, nobody's gonna know. In 10 years when it's on the tree, you're not even gonna know. This is too much work to throw away, just keep going. And I could not let it go. The more I held it in my hand, the more I looked at it, I was so disappointed. And these ornaments are things that I hope are going to be on my tree for years. So I don't want to settle. I don't want to compromise, even though it is, by some definition, probably stupid to say, no, I don't want this. I didn't want it. So I put it away and I redid it. Now that it's finished, I'm very happy that I decided to redo it. I think it was worth the effort. I think it looks nice. All of those things, 10 out of 10. So glad that I decided to do that. There are a couple of things that aren't quite finished yet. If we look here in the, like the little animals, they're supposed to have eyeballs. They don't have eyeballs at present. Every time I tried to do I can do French knots. I am not French knot averse. Every time I tried, they just look like wads of chewing gum. I've been doing some research and I'm reading you need probably size 11 or size 15 seed beads. I'll try to get some of those, and those still need to be sewn on. The other thing is, these windows are not supposed to be filled in, which I feel great about. These windows above the door and in the door are supposed to be filled in, and they're filled in with a really dark color. And I don't like the idea of having a dark window. It creeps me out. It seems like nobody is home. Don't go to that store. I'm afraid of the dark. Like, let's not. No. So I have a color. Can't think of it off the top of my head. I'm so sorry. And I use it a lot of times. Well, I started it with Main Street. I did it on the globes of some lampposts because it's kind of an icy blue, and I have started using it in windows to represent glass because it does read as an icy blue. I thought about using that, but it's like if I do the blue here and here, then I almost feel like I need to fill in all of this window. And do I really want to do that? Because if I do it on this pattern, I'm going to want to do it on every pattern. And that just gets into a whole ordeal. So I'm a little undecided on the windows. Right now, I think I'm going to just leave them empty as is. But I do want to put in the eyeballs, and I just don't have any seed beads yet. So the other thing I did different on this pattern, the other change I made was the cardinals. So the cardinals called for I don't know what. And when we were looking at the My House pattern, I was telling you that I really wanted the cardinals to stand out. So I made the same floss substitution here. I'm using a really bright red. I think the cardinals are actually supposed to be the color of the fire hydrant. I'm using a really bright red just because I want to be bright and happy and stand out and look good. So floss wise, as far as colors go, that's the only thing that I changed. And then it was really fun for me. I could put the scissors down. I'm done pointing. It was really fun for me to see the difference in these two because it is a actual side-by-side of my cross-stitch journey. Both are raw Aida. Nope, both are raw fabric. This one is 14 count Aida. This is 40 count linen. Same pattern, right? This one uses fancy floss. This one uses all DMC. And it's fun to see the evolution over time. Something I remember particularly about this one, about the first one, is this tree was very difficult for me. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, maybe I did change I know that this brown is in the series, but maybe this is what was called for. Or maybe this is weird because it was DMC. I don't know, you guys. So sorry. I remember this tree was very, very difficult for me. I got off on it literally more times than I could count. And it was very frustrating. So I was a little nervous as I went into the new version because I was like, oh God, is the tree going to eat my lunch again? And the answer was no. So now I'm using my iPad to stitch, and I have a little stylus so I can mark off exactly what I'm stitching when I stitch it. And marking off the stitches as I went proved to be extremely helpful. It's really the first time that I've marked stitch by stitch. Usually I'm like, oh, I kind of know where I am. I kind of know what I've done. But this was the first time that I really marked stitch by stitch exactly what I did to keep myself on point. And it helped so much. I was so impressed. So apparently I'm being a little loud for Henry. Sorry. That's the pet store. That's the one that I have finished. This marks number, I think it's the third one you've seen, but I think I've finished 4. And I'm really super pleased. I'm really super pleased I've made it this far. One other thing I want to say, and I don't remember this. I don't know. So, I had a viewer, I think she was new to my channel, watch the tutorial that I did for this piece in particular. And it's titled like no glue, no sewing. And I guess I used glue in it. I don't remember using glue in it, but her comment led me to believe I used glue in it. I know that the original tutorial does not call for sewing, and I know that I did top stitch this edge because I don't like floppy fabric. So the sewing is not required, but I just wanted to say, if I called it no glue, no sew, and you have to glue and sew, then I kind of lied to you. And I didn't mean to lie to you, but also it could have just been somebody who was cranky pants. So I don't know. It was a fun finishing technique to try. Lots of lessons for me in this little project. And so I'm excited. I was excited to see its glow up. I want to thank everybody who helped me choose my 4th of July pattern. So I'm sure a lot of you are aware that, you know, this year is America's 250th birthday, and I wanted to celebrate that. And some people are doing some really large, magnificent pieces. I kind of had it narrowed down to 2, both by Primrose Cottage. One is the 4th of July round, and the other is a patriotic Quaker. And I asked you guys last time to vote and let me know which you thought was the best choice, and I would just go with whatever you picked. And the 4th of July round won 2-1. Exactly. I tallied up all the votes, and it got twice the votes. So I had been at Boxcar picking out a couple of other things one day, and I knew that I wanted to do the 4th of July round at some point. And so I wanted to choose some fancy flosses just to have for whenever I was ready. So I thought I'd show you guys what I'm going to be using. This is the year 40 count raw. This is 40 count raw by Zweigart. And it's Weeks Dye Works. Fathom is the blue, and then Sun Dried is the red. And I'm pretty excited about that. I think they're punchy. There's a lot of different tonal shifts in both of those. So I'm eager to see how they look when those are stitched up. I'm going to start this on February 8th. So the same day that this is coming out for you, I'm going to be starting this during the Super Bowl. Tara Sullivan of Silly Stitches, last year she did something that she called the stand-up bowl, and this year she had this idea to do a patriotic start, and her hashtag for this is, one second, let me check, 250th kickoff. The TH is important. 250 TH kickoff. So if you'd like to stitch along with us, please do. I say us like we're doing it together. We're not. I'm hopping on Tara's bandwagon. This is all Tara's show. I'm just showing up to party. It's 250th kickoff, and it's just a patriotic thing to celebrate America's 250th. And I know that she would love to have you stitch along if that's something you're interested in. Let's do some stitchy talk. I wanted to say thank you so much for all of your kind comments about my closet. I had put it together before, and we had looked at it, and so it was just sort of like a revisit of stuff, but you guys were so sweet. I did have a couple of people reach out to me and say, how did you decide to do this? Or just asking questions about closets and stash. And so I thought we would just talk about it for a little bit. When I was still single, I lived in a house by myself, and I had a room that was like an office / treadmill room, and I didn't want a lot of stuff out all the time. So I had an IKEA dresser at the time that I was no longer using, and I put my IKEA dresser in a closet to help organize all my fabric and all my, at the time it was all quilting, and it was perfect. Whenever I got ready to sew, I could just open up the closet doors. It was a tiny room with a giant, the closet was like pretty shallow, but it had 2 doors that opened up and took up the whole dang room. It was crazy. So I used the dresser in the closet to sort of like help keep things corralled. I could open the door, but just not have stuff all over the place. It made it very manageable. So I think the idea came to me because it's what I had, right? When you're single and when you're early on in your career, you don't have a ton of disposable income, and it just was a really great solution. So when we moved into this house and I started de-stashing all of my quilt things and stashing a whole bunch of cross-stitch stuff, I was thinking, how can I keep it organized? And yes, there are drawers and things. Like there are drawers in this cabinet, and there are drawers in my entertainment center, but they are small drawers. And there are sometimes a lot of things that you need to hide. And so I thought, well, maybe I could get a dresser. I don't have a spare dresser right now, but maybe I could get one. So I started looking on Facebook Marketplace, and I knew that I wanted something that was large-ish. That was really my only criteria. It had to not be ugly. It had to have a good amount of storage, and it had to be less than $100. That's all I was willing to spend. Because I had been looking at places like Walmart and Target at just open shelving, which I didn't love because then things can get dusty. Plus, it's just not cute to look at. You have to like look at all your stuff out all the time, and that's not something I'm really into. So I had looked at what was available in a big box store and I didn't love it. And I thought, all right, if the going rate for shelves in a big box store is about $100, then if I can do it for $100 or less, that's what I'll do. And I found this dresser on Facebook, and the lady, she posts quite a bit. And she has a booth at an antique mall in Oklahoma, but she just randomly posts stuff on Facebook too. So I asked her if she'd be able to help me load it. She said yes. I went to her house, we put it in the car. It was over. It was perfect. So that's how I ended up with the dresser. The pegboard, I put the pegboard up because I had it. I liked the idea of pegboards. Oh, and I'm sure somebody's going to ask, and I didn't tell you guys. I'm so sorry. Those floss drops that I was showing you earlier, these, are you gonna, there, oh, hold on. Let me get a piece of paper. This is why we do overhead now. Okay. These floss drops, these little plastic doober jobbers, they are by Annie's Keepers. And the labels on them are from Pip and Chip. You can order the labels directly from Pip and Chip on Etsy. You can get Annie's Keepers from a lot of people. Chantel's sometimes has them. I order mine from a shop in either Illinois or Indiana, I can't remember. But it's beautiful Sip and Stitch, B-E-E, beautiful. Sip and Stitch, they have awesome customer service. I just really like them a lot. Sorry for the quick tangent, but I said pegboard, and that's what every time somebody sees my floss drops, they're like, what are the floss drops? Tell me all about them. That's all about them. I chose Annie's Keepers because you can buy like a slide, and the slide sits on top of the rails of a filing cabinet so that the floss can hang. And I wasn't sure if I was ever gonna put them on the wall or not, but I liked that they were flexible. The Annie's Keepers were really flexible, which is why I chose them. But we had some extra pegboard, and I was like, oh dear, could you please hang this on the wall for me? And he said, sure. And that was it. The most expensive thing I bought in the closet were the boot hangers for my fabric. Absolutely. And you don't even have to have those. Maybe you like yours folded. I don't know. But to me, it was worth the investment so that I could see what was hanging and make use of that space. Plus, I just think it's really pretty. So that's how I kind of landed where I am with some of those things. I'm just kind of sharing my journey because maybe it'll spark an idea of your own. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to come from the Container Store, right? It can just be random stuff that you collect on Facebook that serves you and your space and your needs. That's it. Now, did I have more thoughts? Okay, no further thoughts about the closet. The other thing is about stash. People were talking about fabric stash. How did I build a stash? Why did I build a stash? All those sorts of things. So when I started on Ada, as many of us do. And I went from 14 count Ada to 32 count Lugana. And I liked Lugana because it had smaller holes than Ada, but it was still very uniform, right? So sometimes in linen, there are slubs, or two threads might be smashed together and others are really far apart. And I wasn't sure that I was into that at all. So I used 32 count Lugana and tried 40 count, never went back. I like to stitch on 36 count, usually only when I want things to be a little bit larger. 40 count is my linen of choice. I joined a fabric club because Carrie finds fabric clubs and I get on every bandwagon she gets on. And I have never stitched on 46 count, but I joined this fabric club at 46 count, so that's special. Jennifer from Screen Door Needleworks was like, oh my God, 46 count's great. You're never gonna go back. And I hope she's not lying. We'll see. Anyway, 40 count is my linen of choice, although sometimes it makes things a little bit small. So I knew when I was thinking about a stash that I wanted to have some linen that was 36 because I can stitch with one thread. So that was really, that's my driver. Is I like the higher count linens because you can't really see the holes from a distance. It doesn't look like I can see the holes in this Ada when it's just sitting on the counter. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just not what I prefer to look at. So that's why I was drawn to the higher counts of linen. And then when I started stitching with one thread, I thought it was weird. I thought it was super weird. I hated that I couldn't do a loop start. And it took me a little while to figure out a way to start that is very comfortable for me. And I love it. Now stitching with two threads is a bigger pain in the rear to me because your thread tangles or it knots. You got to railroad your white stitch. You don't have to railroad your stitches. You don't. I like to. I think they lay flatter. You do whatever you want in your hoop. So I like one thread, and I like the coverage one gives me on 36. So 36 is that's the long-winded, nobody asked me version of why 36 count and 40 count. 36 is the smallest I enjoy with one thread, and then 40 is kind of my bread and butter. So I knew that I wanted to do those two things. Carrie found the Fox and Rabbit Club, and we joined. I started collecting Fox and Rabbit. I had never used Fox and Rabbit. I had heard of them, but I was like, sure, let's order fabric we've never used from Australia. That sounds genius. And I love it. I love it so much. I think it is very interesting to collect linen from people who dye it. A lot of people use a Zweigart base. They use a Zweigart base, and their linen feels very different to me from like XJU. Not better or worse, just different. And so it's funny that they can all start with the same base and still come out with products that look and feel very different. So I started collecting Fox and Rabbit because Carrie found the club. She also found a Seraphim club. And I thought, well, they're pretty reputable, so sure, let's collect some of that too. You know, when I was debating, am I going to do the club? Am I not going to do the club? I can be a little bit of a control freak. People used to think I was the most control freakish person they'd ever met, and then I married my husband. And now I look like the most calm, go with the flow person you've ever met in comparison to him. But something that kind of turned me off of clubs was, I don't know what you're going to send me. I don't know if I'm going to like it. And if you send me something that I'm never going to use, then what? I've paid you $35 plus shipping for something I'm never going to use. Now I'm screwed. Well, you're not really. You could just destash it. It's fine. Calm down. So I decided to go with 36 count on the Seraphim and 40 count on the Fox and Rabbit. And I started building my stash just because I wanted to have some linen. I don't have a local needlework shop I can go to and paw through the different fabrics and find something I'm totally obsessed with. I don't love shopping online because to me, pictures almost never look like what they actually look like in real life. Now, I will buy pieces if I'm watching Flosstube and somebody holds it up and it's a color that I really like, I will buy it that way. But for the most part, linen's a tough thing for me. So I like the idea of having a stash because if I wanted to start a project, I didn't have to, okay, well, what am I going to put it on? Am I going to put it on the called for? Or am I going to try to pick something new? And if I'm going to pick something new, am I going to be able to find something I actually like? Or am I going to have a lot of extra stuff? And it kind of weirded me out. So I decided I would try to build a stash. That way I had stuff that was available to me. And so far I have no regrets about the stash, none whatsoever. I do think that it stretches you creatively. I would have never, and I mean not ever, bought this. And I told you earlier that this is 40 count Lunar from Fox and Rabbit. It's gray and sort of a cool white, and it's splotchy. And I would have thought, no, I'm not going to buy that because I don't want big giant gray splotches in my piece. But when I decided we were going to do Christmas Village, I go into the closet, I start putting things down on it, and I think, oh, all the colors are really warm for the pattern, and putting it on a cooler toned fabric is really nice. My eyeballs really like that. Is it something I would have picked? No, but I had it and it was here and it worked. So it was like a happy accident. So I do think it stretches you creatively. It gives you things you wouldn't normally choose. Like I said, I would have never bought that. And then just sort of like the instant gratification part of it is pretty great. So Maggie and I were having a conversation about starting Christmas Village and when could we start it and all that sort of stuff. And I was prepared to buy fabric, but I thought, let me shop my stash before I go do it. I shopped my stash for Dasher and Dancer. It's kind of nice. It's just kind of nice. And then I still do pick up things, like I said, if I see somebody hold up something I really like, or if I just get a wild hair. So like whenever I got ready to do the Anne Rudolph piece, I knew 100% that I wanted green linen. Absolutely. Not Kelly green linen, not like dark mossy green linen. I wanted for realsies green linen. And so I started looking around and I was drawn to the XQ because I'd never used it and I wanted to. I've heard lots of great things about it. And also because it was on sale. It was a really, really winning combo. A linen I wanted to try, an account I really loved for a sale price. Ding, ding, ding. So my advice, if you want to build a stash, is looking back, hindsight, it's 2020. Find dyers you like figure out who you like. Like Fiber on a Whim is really soft. I think their fabric is lovely. They are not at the front of the line when I'm picking fabric because I like fabric that you can like tap, tap, tap it and you can hear it. It is drum tight and I never get that feeling with Fiber on a Whim, but that's me and my personal preference, right? You might feel differently. So figure out which dyers you like, figure out which counts you like, and then look for clubs that align to your preferences and build a stash. The other thing about clubs is you don't have to stay in them forever, right? So this Color and Cotton Club got really popular this year. Swan Bay got really popular this year. And part of me was like, do I really need another Fabric Club? And then I thought, it's only for a year. Like I think I linked at one point Carrie's walkthrough of her closet. Carrie has a much larger stash than I do. There are some days that I look at my stash and I think I have a lot of linen, and then I see Carrie's stash and I'm like, I have nothing. I would like to have a little bit larger variety, somewhere between where she is and where I am. I would like to have something kind of in that middle zone. And so I'm in 3 clubs this year. I'm in Color and Cotton, Swan Bay, and I'm in Fox and Rabbit. Now, I'm not in Fox and Rabbit out of Australia where they're sending custom colors, although that's lovely and I highly recommend it if you can get in. I'm actually in a Fox and Rabbit club from Garon Stitchery in Alabama. I really like them as a shop, and I just wanted more Fox and Rabbit because I love Fox and Rabbit. So I'm just, they're sending pieces that are more readily available. So that was a lot of words. I'm so sorry. The other question I got asked was about floss stash. What fancy floss do you recommend collecting? And I'm like, I am not qualified to advise you. No. But I'll tell you how I did it, and maybe it's good for you, maybe it's not. I looked at the patterns. That's not true. I looked at the designers who I go to over and over again. Brenda Gervais with I Needle and Thread, Paulette Stewart from Plum Street Samplers, those sorts of things. And I looked at 5 or 10 of each of their pieces. I am not joking. There was a spreadsheet for this, okay? I looked at 4 or 5 designers, 5 to 10 patterns from each one, and I looked at what floss do you guys use pretty regularly. That way, my thinking was if I get a wild hair one day and I'm like, oh, hey, I want to start this. I want to have fabric on hand, hence the fabric stash, and I want to have the floss I need, hence the floss stash. But some floss you look at and you're like, oh, I'm never going to use this. As an example, I ended up with a bag of mix and match floss, and there were like 10 or 15 skeins of fluorescent orange. I don't need 1 skein of it. I certainly don't need 10 or 15 of them, right? And so floss clubs scare me a little bit more than fabric clubs do, because like the Fat Corner Shop floss clubs, I think it's Classic Colorworks that they mail alphabetically. So every month you get, I think it's 5 skeins of floss, and they're just in alphabetical order and they're going down the line. Some of those are never going to get used in my life. You know what I'm saying? So I looked at the designers I like the most. I looked at the colors that they use the most and the brands that they use the most. So when I started, I really preferred Classic Colorworks, and I really didn't like Weeks because the only Weeks I had really used was mascara, and I still hate Weeks mascara. Like, I have this thing at work. So I work with a guy named Chris, and he's a great creative director. He's a great thought partner. He's a lot of wonderful things. But Chris taught me I don't hate it. So you can be working on a solution, and maybe you're not going to come up with the thing that you're obsessed with and that you love with your whole heart, but like, you need to not hate it. So we use that as a barometer when we are working, when we are designing. It was like, yeah, I don't hate it. That's fine. I don't hate it. You know, I'm not going to fight you for it because I think it's great, and I'm not going to fight you on it because it's terrible. I don't hate it. I can live with it is another way to think about it. So there's that. I do hate Weeks mascara. I hate it. When I pull mascara through linen, it feels really grabby. It's almost like it's a pumice stone. And when I pull it through the linen, it's just, oh, hate it. I hate it. I haven't found a black I really like. I also don't have a white I really like. I mean, I know everybody uses Arrowhead grits, and I'm like, they're all kind of crappy to me. That's a white problem, like just white in general is very difficult. Carrie and I were talking about 310 in DMC because I was using it for something, and she said something that I thought was very poignant. She said, it's very unforgiving because I was using a very dark floss on a very light fabric. And she said, it's very unforgiving. And I think that's what I don't like about white and black. They are very unforgiving flosses. Sorry for the meandering thought there. In the beginning, back to my point, I really liked Classic Colorworks. I thought it was awesome. The only color I had used from Weeks was mascara, and I hated mascara. Since then, I have used a lot of Weeks, and I actually prefer Weeks. I don't have anything against Classic Colorworks. I have some Classic Colorworks. I have more Weeks Fancy Floss than anything else. I like it. I like it a lot. When I have the opportunity to buy wholesale, and with Weeks, you have to buy 5 skeins of the same color. So could I build a stash that way? Yeah, but you're not going to want 5 skeins in every color. So I went through and tried to figure out which colors do I use regularly and invest in those when I'm buying wholesale, and not every color. So that's my recommendation. Look at the pattern designers you really like, see what floss they like, see what fabric, see what, did I say fabric? Floss. We're talking about floss. See what floss you like and see if you can find a club for it. It's my new solution. Just find a club for it. It's totally fine. Just find a club. Okay. I wanted to talk to you about tools. I don't know how well this is going to go. I have turned off the upstairs camera, so I'm going to hold it up in front of the other camera, and let's all just hope this goes okay. I'm going to hold it, then I will put the paper down and talk to you. This is an unstitcher. They are by Lori Holt. It is essentially a little tiny tapestry needle on a handle. I purchased one. It stayed in the box. I never used it. I didn't have any reason to use it or not to use it. And then I think y'all may remember, Deborah sent me, maybe she goes by Debbie. Online it's Deborah, but her card said Debbie, and now I don't know what to call her, and it makes me uncomfortable. She sent me the floss for Rudolph, the sparkly floss, and included one of these in the package. And I was like, I should try that. Guys, get one, okay? They're like $6, I think. Stick it on your next order when you're ordering from 1T3 or Fat Quarter Shop or whatever. They are to help you unpick stitches. I thought it's not any different than a regular old needle. I can use my regular old needle. Wrong. Yes, you can. Yes, you can continue to use your needle. Knock your lights out. This is more comfortable, and the needle bit on the end is, it's not thicker, but it's somehow more stout. I don't know how to describe it to you, but anyway, like I said, it's called an unstitcher. It's from Lori Holt. For like $5 or $6. Highly recommend. Oh, I didn't bring something over here. Hang on just one second. When I was getting ready for this floss tube, I made a list of like, these are the things you need to, go get this floss so that you will be able to show it, and go get this fabric so you will have it, and make sure that you have all these things. But I forgot this one, sorry. Okay, so I received a gift from one of my little internet friends. Incredibly kind, completely unexpected, and for sure not required. Just a box of so many amazing goodies. And this, I'll show you the back. This was inside. Okay. Y'all are paying attention to this little thing. Okay. This like hair wrap going around it. Some of you may have heard about it. Some of you may not. It's called a grime guard. Okay. Now this one in particular is from a company called Carrie Sews For You. Will it focus? It will. No. Kari Sews For You. I'll put it on the screen. Anyway, on stories a while back, my hands are so dry, y'all. I've always had skin situations, but my hands have been so dry. And so I was asking, what do you guys use? Because I don't want anything to transfer to my linen. And I had heard Kimberly Jolly say that she washes her hands before every time she sits down to stitch. And I got a lot of really good suggestions. And so that's part of my 2026 journey, is like hand cream. I'm working my way through the list of recommendations. But the Grime Guard was something that I thought was really awesome because it doesn't matter what I have on my hands. I'm not touching the fabric. I'm touching the outside thing, right? It keeps your fabric from getting grimy. You see where it gets the name now. Okay. If you use a Q-snap, I'm going to hold them side by side. A Q-snap is thicker. Sorry for my focusing problem. A Q-snap is thicker than a Nerge. Q-snap, Nerge. See what I mean? So the Grime Guard for the Q-snap has to be thicker, fatter, whatever, than the one for the Nerge. Carrie sews for you. Her little guards are specific to Nerge. So the Dreamboat who sent this to me also had seen that I had a Nerge, and she chose the Grime Guard for the Nerge. I immediately raced in and put it on, and I don't know how I ever lived without it, honestly. I think it's great. So it does two things from my perspective. Y'all are smart people. You may know more than I do. Number one, it prevents anything from your hands transferring to your fabric, which is great. And obviously you could wash it. Awesome. The other thing is, now I did have to take it off earlier for something. And when I put it back on here, right when I was getting ready to show you, I didn't tuck my fabric. But you can tuck all your extra fabric up inside, like I'm trying to do it in the camera, which is awkward. There we go. So it stays out of your way. It's not like flopping around all willy-nilly. So it kind of helps corral things. But I just wanted to show that to you guys. Grime Guard. It's like kind of like a shower cap. 10 out of 10. Get you one. All right, the last thing I have to tell you about, I'm actually going to put a picture on the screen because like I said, the camera up there is off. And when I hold it up there, you can't see. I mean, you can't tell anything. It's called a Snag Nabbit. They're made by Dritz, and they're for those little fuzzy bits. Like you frog some stitches and there's still like a haze of floss on your fabric, right? You can use the Snag Nabbit to like pet it a little bit and it gets all that garbage off. Now, a lot of people really like mascara wands. Okay. If you like them, you do you, boo. I've tried the mascara wands. I don't hate them, but I don't love them. They don't pick everything up to me. And what I like about the Snag Nabbit is it is microscopic. Now, the bad news is you lose the booger. Okay. So you have to be like very diligent about where you put it. But I like it because it really gets into all of the nooks and all of the crannies. I linked it in my Amazon shop. My Amazon shop is linked in my show notes and in my profile. It's linked everywhere you can possibly link it. But anyway, Snag Nabbit, they're made by Dritz. I'm sure that you can get them all over the land. You don't have to get it from Amazon, but I just wanted to be sure that you guys knew about them and had seen them, because when I literally thought everybody and their mother knew what an unstitcher was. I thought I was so late to the party. I mean, I was late to the party, but I thought everybody knew. And so many people on Instagram were like, oh my God, what is it? Where do I get one? I'm like, oh, I knew about something that you guys didn't? Stop. So in case Snag Nabbit falls into the same category, I wanted you to know about it too. Right, those are all of my stitchy things that I had to talk to you guys about today. I wanted to show you the whips, the FOs, the plans, the stitchy talk, all that and all that. So if you are not here for the live things, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. I will see you in 2 weeks. And then if you want to hang out for the after party, let's get to it. I have been legitimately terrible at Flosstube today. My camera currently says 1 hour, 13 minutes. I am not joking when I say I've recorded that bit about Prairie Schooler at least 8 times. I'm like, oh my God, Emily, speak English. Okay. After party topics. Because we have to print our notes now because I use my iPad for my above camera because I'm so professional. This section down here feels so weird printing it out. Y'all know that I back up to a lady that has a donkey. Oh, did you see one in the story? Oh, I'm not good. I back up to a lady who has a donkey. Everybody loves the donkey. So her property runs the length of my street, and the donkey can come up to your fence at any point in time. We love having the donkey back there. Anytime my husband is outside and the donkey sees him, the donkey brays rather loudly, because he knows that my husband will bring him. We treat sugar-free treats at the owner's request, because her property backs up to so many people. If everybody gives the horse and donkey carrots and apples, it's too much sugar and it causes some real health issues. So she asks everybody to not feed treats unless she approves them. And she specifically asked for me to feed sugar-free treats. So that's what we do at this household. And anytime I change them, because sometimes they'll be out of stock or whatever, I still just let her know. But we have a great relationship and she doesn't really care. We're not here to talk about donkey cookies. God. She's not moving. That's the point of this story. So she's been trying to sell her property. It's 5 acres and it's this long, skinny property. It's super weird. And she's been trying to sell it for a year and a half now. She had a developer and he was going to put in, I think, like 25 duplexes. And the property is so narrow that like right on the other side of my fence was going to be a road. And then across the road were going to be all these duplexes. But if you think about it, that's like 50 residences. That's a lot of traffic. It's a lot of noise. I don't have a privacy fence. Like it just introduced a whole host of problems. So we hated that plan. For sure hated that plan. But it fell apart. And I like the owner a lot as a person. I really do. And I don't want her to get stuck someplace that she's not happy. But I don't want her to move either because I don't want crap in my backyard. There, I said it. We're friends. I can tell you the truth. She knows. I have told her before, like, I don't want bad things for you, but also I love that when these things fall through for me. And she's like, I get it. So she's been trying to sell the property. She had a buyer. That one fell through. She just recently got a second buyer. They were going to put in luxury garages. Y'all, I barely, and I mean this, barely have a grocery store in my town. When I go to the grocery store, they might have like 3 oranges and a moldy loaf of bread. I do not have a real legitimate grocery store. The milk, we can't figure it out. You buy milk at that store, it is sour tomorrow every single time. Don't get it. I do not get it. So my point is, we're not a community, I don't believe, that would support a luxury garage. Emily, what the hell is a luxury garage? Let me tell you. So my husband's actually built several of them. A luxury garage is for like, some of you guys may hate them and now may think I'm really snotty. It's for people who have extra income, who buy nice cars, Porsche, Lamborghini, vintage cars you fix up, right? Like, where cars are your hobby. And I feel like you have to be pretty well off for that to be a thing, but that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. You can get a luxury garage, so it's not attached to your house. Usually the way it works is sometimes they're 1-story, sometimes they're 2-story. You can pay to have a lift put in it so that you can stack cars in there. A lot of them will have a loft. So you have your garage area downstairs and then you go upstairs to a loft that has maybe like a living room kitchenette. It's like a man zone. It is where I think gentlemen who have a lot of extra money take their toys to get away from their wives. Maybe that's not accurate. That's just how it seems based on what I've heard. And so she was like, yeah, it fell apart. And I said, well, what was he going to build? And she said, luxury garages. And I'm like, did he survey the neighborhood? Because I don't know how he'd have sold those. Doesn't matter. He's backed out. So my dad likes to say, how does this affect me? This is going to seem like we're taking a hard left, but we're not. I'm going to bring it back to my point. I have been using a kitchen table as a desk for the last 2 years. It's real cute. It's vintage. It's painted in white chalk paint. I love everything about it. It has drop leaf. It has a little leaf in the middle. Like, it is a great, but it is a kitchen size table. I have 14-foot ceilings in this house. It looks like a postage stamp. So I can't use it as like a table. So I was using it as a desk, except it's kind of too big for a desk and it's oval. So I can't use the whole width of it because of the ovalness of it, right? But more importantly, I whack my knees on it all the time. So I really wanted a desk with a drawer, because you know tables don't come with drawers. So I got a desk earlier last year. It's everything I need it to be. It's not too big, it's not too little, it has a lot of drawers. It was on Facebook Marketplace for like $80. Okay, great. I didn't want to get rid, I'm coming back to the donkey. I didn't want to get rid of the table I had been using, because if they were putting in condos or apartments or warehouses or something inappropriate on the back property line because she sold her property, then my husband and I were very prepared to move, even though we've only been here 2 years. And if I move, if that house has smaller ceilings, I'm going to need a smaller table. Smaller space, smaller table. I have the small table. I love it. So what I'm telling you is right now I have a table in my garage because I'm waiting to see if the lady behind me with the donkey is going to move. And apparently she's not, at least not for the time being. She told me after we were talking about how this deal fell through, and she's got some beef with the city, and I understand her feelings. She was going to get an attorney to see if an attorney could help her. I do not know the outcome of that situation. That's my story about my neighbor and her donkey. Next topic. Why did you stay for this? What is wrong with you? Okay. In our master shower on the home front, in our master shower, it's subway tile on the walls and tiny hex tile on the floor, and it's cute, okay? I have no problem with the aesthetic of it. The builder, so we live in what was the model home, the first house that they built. I don't know that it was actually a model. It might have just been the first house that they built out here, but it was like they put all the bells. I say they put all the bells and whistles. Like, we got fancy stuff. It's not that fancy. They put all the options. All the options are in this house. And we think that they built it kind of hastily. The reason I say this is because we have, like, for example, one day it was raining outside and we were like, what the hell is that noise? And there was water pouring in our bedroom because there's literally not any flashing. And if you don't know anything about building, they put like all your studs in the wall, and then they put like a sheet of stuff on top of it that's like, you know, the actual wall bits. And then they put a plastic sheeting to keep the rain out. It's kind of important, right? I didn't get any of that. I didn't get any of that plastic sheeting stuff. And then they also put flashing around windows because, you know, the edge of the window, I don't know if you know this or not, but like on on a window. Let's pretend this is our window and it's going into the wall. It's got a lip around it. And so you put flashing, kind of like masking tape over the edge to prevent water from coming in. Well, we were sitting there one day and all of a sudden water's pouring in the house because we don't have any flashing. It's happened in several of our rooms to the point that my husband has ripped most of the siding off of the house. And even when he does, it's put together in a not great way. I could talk to you a long time about how poorly my house is built, but that's not what we're here to talk to. I'm just talking to you about the shower today. The master shower does not drain properly. So in a shower, everything should slope to the drain, and mine doesn't. So water sits, and then what happens when it sits? It gets moldy, nasty, gross. And I'm on septic, so I'm not supposed to use bleach. And how do you get rid of mold if you can't bleach it? It's a whole problem. So, we were talking about it last year and my husband was like, maybe we should fix that shower. And I was like, great, let's fix the shower. So the plan was we were going to take the floor tile that's in the bathroom and we were just going to run it into the shower. Now it's a step down. Like you have to, I say it's like a step down shower. You have to step down about 3 inches. It's not like a Roman bath. But we were just going to run the floor in there. So it was kind of seamless visually, right? The project's supposed to start probably February 9th. I decided we should probably look at that tile and make sure it's appropriate for the shower. Because some tile is like you're not going to put a shiny tile in the shower. You'd fall and bust your ass, right? So I wanted to check this particular tile. Turns out we can't put it in a shower. So they're trying to put us on the schedule and we have no tile. So my husband and I go to the tile store and before we ever go, I'm dreading it because we have nothing that's gray. And he wants to put gray tile. Like he's already decided. Just know. The floor in our bathroom is like beige with some brown stuff in it. So like cool gray just they don't go together to me. So I thought, well, this is how we get divorced. We try to find tile for the shower floor. But we went to the tile store and I tried really hard to keep an open mind about gray-ish things. I was willing to compromise at ish. And we just repeatedly kept coming back to this same one. It kind of looks like bricks, which is weird to say. So that's what we chose. But my point. So I was born in 1983. And when I was whenever I was in middle school and high school, there was a certain genre of music. I'm just telling you when I was born so you have an idea. But while we were in the tile store, they were playing like a ton of hits from middle school and high school. And we like couldn't shop because we kept stopping. Like dancing in the tile store. We were singing. You can't take us anywhere, guys. You can't take us anywhere. So that's what's going on personally. We are trying to get the shower renovated. I'm not real happy about it. We renovated our bathrooms at our last house because the last house was built in the early 90s. And so we completely demoed the bathrooms and it was a disaster. We hired a general contractor. The first sub they brought in to do the first bathroom, like they flooded the house on the first day. They left a heat gun unattended on its little bottom, pointed up into the middle of the room. I've got dogs. They could knock it over. It is a fire hazard waiting to happen. And I had to call them. I had to call them one day and say, your sub's not welcome back in my house. I don't know what you're going to do. And I don't know how we're going to fix this, but this is not it. So I have a little PTSD with contractors. And then I'm also just kind of nervous about it because our last experience wasn't great. However, my mother used this contractor for her bathroom renovation and it looks awesome. And they were very attentive. Like when it was her time to do her job, they were very attentive to her. So I love to go off of a recommendation, and I hope that it proves to be better than expected. It's going to be messy, right? Because they're going to chisel up the floor that we have now. And then they have to do a little bit, I think they're going to have to do a little bit of jackhammering to get it to slope properly. But I don't know. Last time the whole house was just so dusty. But we also demoed a lot more tile, and we moved a water line, so they had to jackhammer quite a bit. I hope when I see you next, then I can tell you that my bathroom project is all finished and it went so smooth and it was amazing and I worried about nothing. I'm just gonna manifest that into an existence. Thank you for coming to hang out with me today. I appreciate you so much. You guys know that I love our time together, even if I'm telling you that I bled all of, oh, wait. I forgot. Okay. The sun is about to come through this window. Like we gotta hurry, friends. Okay. My husband is from a small town. They publish the most absurd telephone calls that the police station gets in the paper. And I read some of these to the folks on stories. So if you were on stories and you heard it, I'm sorry, you're going to hear them again. So I have the best of for every month of 2025. I was going to read you. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 from January. They're real short. I'm going to read you 7 from January. If you like these, you let me know you want to hear February. Okay. January 2nd, 7:23 p.m. A delivery driver was alarmed to hear a woman scream in a home where he left a package. Police found the resident was watching a football game. How does that call go? Hi, I think there's a lady screaming. This is house. I'm worried. Blah, 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 blah. And they show up and the lady's like, yeah, I was watching football. It was a pretty rowdy game. January 3rd, 7:16 p.m., an impaired woman started a fire in a fire pit and it lit the it lit the garden on fire. Oh my God. January 10th, a man may have been sleepwalking when he entered a theater and wandered around the hallway. When asked if he needed help, he said, I'm looking for my car. Then he left and police found him in the parking lot and called his wife. When in doubt, call their wives. January 17th, 1:52 p.m. A caller paid about $2,400 for horses she didn't receive. Then someone posing as a police officer called her and offered to help, but scammed her out of more money. Hi, I gave money to somebody who didn't give me any horses. And then I gave money to somebody who's not a policeman. Can you help me? January 17th, 9:59 p.m. A vandal was captured on video throwing cream cheese onto a man's car and smearing it onto the door handle. I just want to let you know there's a gentleman over on Winsterwood Court. He's putting cream cheese on the car door handle. I want to work in dispatch so bad. Okay, we're almost done. January 24th, 3:42 a.m. Someone hacked into a home's internet and played music through the ice maker, robot vacuum, and fan. Somebody played music through my ice maker. Oh, man. Okay, last one, then I'm really done. January 30th, 3:07 a.m. A couple recently separated. He checked into a motel. His wife thought he was with another woman there and wanted police to find out. They refused to get involved. I want you to go to the hotel and tell me if he's with another girl. No, ma'am. No, we don't do that. If you want to hear more next time, you let me know. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Talk to you later. Love you. Bye.